Hi YouTube, not been on for a couple of days. I tried to do a video for this on Friday night, and I ended up just gibbering on for too long, so try to keep it down like I always say. So this is a revisit to my pal Scott's 1979 Yamaha sg200. I did a video of this maybe 6 months ago. I don't think I really did anything to it. Maybe it needed something connected up. I can't really remember. I think it's all original. I think he just wanted to show me it, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. Thought this was great. But what had been annoying him for ages was the bridge. See the saddles on this bridge. It was like made. They were like chrome coated sort of pot, shitey metal, and apparently once you wear through the chrome, the strings that are now sitting on the pot metal, so they kind of, he was, you know, it was like a bit sort of buzzy and stuff. To be honest, I never really noticed it because I thought the guitar played fine anyway. But he was right, and it now plays unbelievably. Like probably the best setup guitar I've ever played actually. It's so easy to play. It's, to be stupid, or I'm going to turn the mic round a wee bit, maybe hear me a bit better. Yeah, so 1979, made in Japan, sg200, which I think might have been the cheapest of the SG range. The Yamaha SGs were, I don't have one, I said this before in the previous video, because they were always expensive, because everyone always knew they were good, whereas other things, that, you know, the ones I like, they go out of favour and then you can get them cheap. Yamaha SGs have always been expensive. They're pretty much, not so much this model because this is one of the cheaper ones, but the higher end ones like the 1000 and the 1500 and the 2000 are like pretty much regarded, even at the time until now, as just basically like a better than a Les Paul. They're a bit more, they've got like, you know, the maple cap and the carved top and the binding and such things, so they're more like a double cut Les Paul, whereas this is more like an SG just because it's similar. I mean, it feels very like my Gibson SG, like dimension wise. I think part of that's to do with where the neck joins. On an SG it kind of joins, you know, it sort of joins at the last fret type thing, whereas this has that same, there's something about that which makes where the neck sits when you're playing it sound like, so this, if you couldn't see it, but it doesn't really necessarily look that much like a Gibson SG, it certainly feels like one, which makes more sense to me. I never really thought the fancy ones with the carved top was really, why was it called an SG really, because it doesn't really look like an SG. Okay, it's got two cutaways, but it's not really the right shape for that. So he got a new bridge. It's a Wilkinson one. He said he tried half a dozen bridges to try and get the one that fitted. It's quite small, and he was quite pleased that it was Wilkinson that made it, because it wasn't actually that expensive. I mean, I'm guessing like 20 or 30 quid or something like that, you know, but not hundreds of pounds, which it could have been. So if you've got one of these and you need a bridge for it, look up Wilkinson. They apparently do one. Something to do with this dead small pin holes that the posts sit on, and I think you even mentioned that the posts, if I can sort of see that, the posts don't. Normally you get like a metal sleeve post, you know the post the same size as, you know, this sort of thing, but on this one it just seems to be just the threaded bit, so it's got like it's got quite a small wee hole that it goes into. All these things that make it a little bit fidgety. The guitar is a bit nice. I mean, if it had been like a cheapy guitar, I would just made another bridge fit, but it's worth spending the extra time on it. This one, the only real fault I can see is that someone at some points put a scratch plate on it. I don't think these originally had scratch plates, and there's sort of screw holes from a previous scratch plate, and whoever it was didn't do a very good job because they missed with the first hole, so there's two wee holes there. Apart from that, it's in very nice condition. Pickups are mad. It's like, you know, if you've got adjustable pull pieces in your pickups, you know, the chances are it's flathead screws, or if it's a sort of DiMarzio type, it's got Allen keys to adjust the pull pieces. I think the DiMarzio type, so I don't know if they were the first people to use Allen keys, but you always see, I mean, even I do it, you know, it goes, oh, DiMarzio type pickups, that basically means it's got Allen keys instead of flathead screws. But this one's got Phillips head screws on it. It's also got my favourite tilting pickups, so you've got the two screws on one side, which so you can tilt the pickup to line up with the strings, but more importantly it stops it wobbling. quite often you get like when it's sitting on the 2 screws, the pickup itself rocks. You know, if you push it, it moves, whereas the 3 hold it still. It's a slightly different system from what you get on Washburns. The screw holes are slightly closer together, so I don't think it's not just a case of swapping them straight over. Don't really know why it didn't catch on. It's a big thing, this is what, 79, I say, 79. So the early 80s they were sort of doing that, and then it kind of fizzled out to, I think by the time you got to sort of 1990, no one was really doing it anymore, and I really can't think of any reason why, apart from, it can't be because it was cheaper. Okay, yes, it's cheaper to use 2 screws instead of 3, but that must, save you £1 over 100 guitars or something like that. There must be some other reason. I wonder if it's maybe just because that's not what vintage guitars have. It's like the idea of using, like if you use the cloth covered wire to connect the pickups together and stuff. It's in no way better than plastic coated wire, the PVC stuff that you get in modern guitars, but because that's what they used in 1958 or whatever it was, that's what you have to have in your Les Paul. If at the time PVC wiring had been available, they wouldn't have used the cloth stuff. They just used the PVC stuff because it's better. But so it's maybe that idea, the sort of not vintage look by having the 2 extra screws on it. It's really the only thing I can think of. Also, I suppose the Yamaha ones are, as I said, they're slightly closer together. So even if you did get tilting pickups to put in your Yamaha, it's like, yeah, managed to get them, and they're actually from a Washburn. They're not going to fit because it's a different gap. So this is pearl white. This guitar has had a lot of money spent on it, or a lot of work done. Apparently, when the guy got it, it was his dream guitar. It's his you can allow people to have their dream guitar. I think he said he saw a guitar very similar to this when he was going to school in the morning. It was in McCormick's in Glasgow, and always wanted one. This would be in 1979 or 1980, whenever it was. I always wanted one, so eventually got one, but it had taken a knock on the fretboard, so he got it professionally. All the frets taken out, the fingerboard planed smooth again, and then new frets put in. And whoever it was put the frets in, he told me the guy's name. I think it was a guy in Glasgow, and his name was something Fotheringham, or I keep thinking of Alan Holdsworth. So a name sort of like that, not Alan Holdsworth, but a name sort of like that, kind of, if I saw it I would recognise it. But I mean, he's done a stunning job on it. It really does play absolutely stupid. I've never really had a guitar that's had action as low as this that doesn't have a compromise because the action's so low. This one just seems to be, it plays all the way, but it's really, really thin. Not really thin, really low action. It doesn't fret out anywhere. So I think the idea of fretting, like setting up a guitar, like leveling the frets and stuff like that, it's not like a case of, here it is perfect. I don't think it can ever be perfect. I think you can just get better and better and better the more time and money you spend on getting it, right down to micromillimeters perfect all the way. Which I'll be honest, I'm not that far. I can make a guitar that it's got fretting problems, make it work what I think is pretty good and what would be a reasonable standard, but I can't make it like absolutely immaculate. I think that this is the sort of thing, if you buy like a Martin acoustic for $3,000 or something like that, you will have this sort of fret job. It's like, that's why it's so expensive, because it's had so much time spent on it. And it's like, as you start adding hundreds and hundreds of pounds onto these things, it only gets that much better every time, but it does get better. So it's where you want to draw the line. So I'm just going to play with this. That's me already talked about it for 10 minutes. At least it's not the half hour I did the other day. But it sounds great. You need to plug it in. Just play it, it's fine. Very loud for what it is. Yeah, so I should turn it on. Here we go. Bridge pickup. I've actually changed the settings on my amp a bit because I was using it in my pal's barn studio the other day, yesterday. Actually, I didn't really turn any of the knobs because I was using the drive channel, which I never use. So this is a clean channel, no pedals. Neck. playing this just now, it doesn't show us. This guitar is much louder. It's like 1.5 times the volume of a normal guitar when you've got it plugged in. This is because when I turned it, set it when I turned it on, brought it back in from the car yesterday. So this is a lot louder than a normal guitar. Both pickups. Stick a wee bit of distortion on. That Washburn pedal doesn't really seem to be like this guitar very much. Maybe I've knocked it. Maybe it likes the rat pedal better. This kind of likes the clean better than the distortion. I have been noticing that with guitars with when you've got a very different pickup output. Some guitars, I mean, I very rarely touch the pedals on the floor. I don't really adjust the settings on them much, but some guitars, when it's really loud clean, then when you put the distortion pedals on, it seems to get quieter, which is what this one's doing, whereas a lot of guitars are the other way around. It's like I'm playing it, the clean is really weak, and then you stomp on the distortion pedal, and it's like, whoa! But it's the same amp with the same pedals, so there's some sort of play in there depending on how high the output of your pickups is. I don't think this is what you would class as high output the way, like a Metallica type pickup would be. It's very very clean when it's... But because the action's so low, you're tempted to kind of... do things that you can't really do. It says easy, don't you need both hands? Yeah, so I will have to get one of these, but I mean, just to say that of all the video I did before, I was praising it a bit too much. I was a bit too excited about it. I've kind of calmed down a bit. Also, I feel that I really don't want to be standing in a room full of Washburn wings saying the Yamaha SG is the best guitar in the universe, because kind of the more expensive, it's kind of the same. We're going for the same market. It's not quite a copy, but it's a very similar thing. Talking about copies, I do actually have a Hondo bass, which Hondo weren't good at names at this point. It's an H1050 or something like that. The higher the number, the better. It's like 1,000 and something, and it's basically a copy, a direct copy of this. Apart from it's slightly rounded, not quite as pointy here, but it's very much this. There's also a guitar version which looks very similar, a straight copy type thing of this particular guitar. So I mean, this one I really fancy one, and I really fancy this particular model because it's been the 200. It doesn't have the binding and the arch top and stuff. These are not pure super mega expensive. They're not thousands of pounds. I'm not sure whether they were always Japanese. I think they might have moved to Taiwan at some point for the sort of cheaper models. I think the ones at a few £1,000s are always Japanese, but this one's I think the later on 200s and others, there's like a 2 and a 3 and a 5. There's quite a lot. Actually, see if you look on YouTube, there's on eBay, there's a guy down in the border somewhere who's always got about 20 Yamahas for sale, and I think he's a mad collector, and he's got lots of them, and there's ones I've never seen before, all different colours, like of the SGs and the sort of funny, the one with the devil's head one, and the guitars like that. But they're not actually they're not that expensive if you compare them to a new Les Paul, but they're out my league. What's a guitar he had that I was really wanted? An amazing flying V. It was like the Yamaha, all Yamahas. It was a Yamaha flying V. And it was sort of carved in the top, so it was super sleek. Fantastic looking guitar. I don't think it actually went for that much. I couldn't justify buying it, so I do need to get one of these. at some point. I suppose I should probably have it after 15 minutes. Have a wee 2-minute jam then, I suppose. Stick something in. Missed it. Yeah, so the owner of this is a guitar tech, or used to be a guitar tech. So he knows exactly how to set these things up. I have got bad news for you though, Scott. This is not playing as well as it was on Friday. I think that the increased temperature has been pretty much roasted in here. This was set up, I was thinking of like a bit like a Formula. I remember in Top Gear they were talking once about a Formula 1 car. It's like on a life support machine all the time, so it's like any slight change and everything goes to pot, which I think has just sort of happened to this. I think it still plays really well, but it's not as good as it was on Friday, just with the temperature. So I think, see, when you've got it all, like micrometer perfect set up, just the fact that it's an extra 10 degrees in temperature can make everything move a little bit. So it's not quite as good as it was when you left me. I should maybe have waited until it was a bit of a colder day to play it again. It's still the best SG I've ever played, and I've got one, and I've played expensive ones. I've played the SG standards and stuff like that before. So, better than a Gibson SG, Yamaha SG, even though this is a cheap one. One day I will find one. I just don't think I'm likely to find one that nobody knows about, because if everybody always knew that Yamaha SGs were awesome. I might actually put a link to the video, which I figured was too long and too much shite in it. I did upload it to show the Scott, the owner of the guitar. I might put it as a unlisted, but I'll put it in the description down there where you hear it. I'll play it a bit more and talk an awful lot more pish. If my usual 20-minute rambling isn't enough, there's a half-hour rambling when I talk about other stuff. Rock on!